Welcome to Voices,
a podcast from the Institute for Human Rights and Business.
Here, we're seeking to elevate the range of perspectives
on the role of business in the world
and in people's everyday lives.
Hello, everybody. This is Salil Tripathi from the Institute for Human Rights and Business, and I'm here in Toronto at the Voluntary Principles Plenary with Professor Adriano Nuvunga, who is from Mozambique and is a well-known and leading anti-corruption crusader. And we are going to talk about the links between corruption, human rights, and security. First of all, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah. My first question is basically trying to understand the situation on the ground in Mozambique, how acute it is in terms of corruption. Why is it a crucial issue?
Thank you very much. Corruption is a cancer in Mozambique's possibilities of development and realization of people's freedoms and rights.
Mm-hmm.
We have political corruption, which is breeding administrative corruption. As conceptually, political corruption, it needs a widespread administrative corruption to sustain it. And without corruption, Mozambique would have, with the window of opportunity from 2010 to 2015, Mozambique would have jumped to a middle-income country. But today, Mozambique is almost a collapsing state, as it fails to meet the basic functions of the state. As I'm speaking today, there are no books for the primary school pupils to learn. When you have primary school pupils without books to learn, you are failing the nation. When you are unable to pay the teachers, you are unable to pay nurses, you don't have a social protection system because of corruption, it means that it creates further incentives for people to go corrupt because there is no system to protect people at the elderly age. So with this considered, Mozambique had its Africa's biggest corruption case since the 60s, which is the $2 billion illegal scandal known as hidden debt, which was orchestrated by former President Armando Guebuza and his inner cycle. This has led for the donor community to suspend aid to Mozambique, which accounted for half of public expenditure. It led Mozambique to fail to meet its international obligations and nearing the blink of a collapse. With this happening, you have a direct link of corruption and human rights, as not only the state is unable to meet its basic obligations towards the citizenry, but also, and importantly here, we see the shrinking of the civic space, the use of weaponization of the law to target human rights defenders, those who are demanding end of impunity, those who are demanding accountability, those are struggling for good governance are being targeted.
In what way? Are they being arrested? Are they being tortured, detained? Are they being, we've been talking about SLAPP, the Strategic Legal Action against Public Participation. So is that what's happening? What kind of arrest? Or is it surveillance?
There are three natures. One is weaponization of the law. So government is passing draconian laws to squeeze the space for civil society and activists to operate. This is one. The second one is physical targeting of human rights defenders. In the last general election, a human rights defender was assassinated with 10 bullets in the Gaza province. He was there to do his job of making sure that elections were a mechanism for people to participate,
Right.
and not a mechanism of entrenchment of authoritarianism. And he was targeted by state defense forces, those who are paid by people's taxes to protect lives and freedoms. They are being used against weapons against citizens. So this is one. The third one is surveillance. And intelligence services, they are all there. And we have seen the use of the COVID-19 pandemic
Right.
to militarize the civic space, to further close the space for civil society activists and human rights defenders, more specifically, to participate, demand participation, accountability, and end of impunity. And all this is in the aim of covering up corruption. It's because the state cannot meet its basic services for the populations that is embracing authoritarianism.
So, what is the role of business? What is it doing, and what should it be doing?
We have seen,
I mean, both businesses,
Yes.
multinationals and local companies. Yeah.
Before COVID-19, we saw principled business behavior, international business. Take the FCPA from the United States.
Yeah, the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. Yes.
Exactly, and also the AU directives
Yes.
on corruption, etc. These instruments were significantly implemented, and they were pushing back corruption. But from time to time, we tend to see an increasing of extractivism. We see less and less compliance. And the global business, it looks at corruption as an administrative hurdle. They deal with it, but it is still okay to go. So we don't see the principle and the action against corruption that we used to see in the past decade. So our call here is for the business to understand that with corruption there will be conflicts. There will be conflicts, like the one that we are facing in northern Mozambique. There is no way that you can stop violent extremism without fighting corruption, without doing the right thing in terms of compliance with anti-corruption instruments and respect to human rights. So this is the call that we make to international businesses, but there is the domestic counterpart, the domestic businesses, that they have also to abide by the global anti-corruption and human rights instruments. Because without that, society loses, business loses, and the states will fail. With the state failing, there will not be business.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Now, are you yourself in any danger for all the work you do?
I'm in a daily danger.
Right.
For the
Right.
past 20 years,
Right.
I've lived a life where going to work,
Yeah.
it's exposing myself
Right.
to a threat.
So, do you take a different route every day? Do you
I do a lot of
do you take
things.
care with your phones? How do you protect yourself?
3 years ago, I was threatened with a bomb at my house. They threatened me to bomb my house. Then I decided to relocate my family to South Africa. That's why it is. So I take that cost myself.
Right.
In order to do the work that I think it is the right thing to be done for the people of Mozambique. But also, we have learned to work remotely. I use that.
Yeah.
And also we have improved the security of the office, of the staff, myself, and as part of the global human rights defenders protecting mechanisms, we are daily sophisticating our ways of operating so that we can continue doing the work and also do the right thing. Do the right thing, respect the laws, comply with the laws so that we can have the voice then to raise because failing to do the right thing, you lose also the right to fight as human rights defender. So keep doing the right thing.
And what would be your 2 or 3 points of advice to business? What do you want business to do? One thing that we have been talking about here at the conference is actively campaigning for the shared space, that businesses should support human rights. Even if the defender is critical of the business should still support their right to protest peacefully.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the voluntary principles is an important tool for businesses, human rights defenders, and social justice leaders to come together to protect the environment for a social license for businesses to operate.
Absolutely.
Doing business should not do an enterprise at all costs. You need, as a businessman, a businesswoman, to meet the basic standards in continued and supportive dialogue with human rights defenders and social justice leaders respecting the environment, because that is important too. The climate change aspect, it has to be taken into consideration. So this would be my key advice for business, to use the voluntary principle as the framework of coming together to addressing social, economic, and climate and human rights issues that are needed to be taken into account, so that social license can be granted in all parts for business to operate.
Well, you've just given a fantastic vision for the voluntary principles for the future. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Wish you all the best, and admire and salute your courage. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.